Namaste, beautiful soul. I am channeling an answer to a question about the ego, dark night of the soul. The question is, could you please say something about the dark night of the soul, the death of the ego? I wish to hear your advice on the best way to deal with it. By being aware and noticing that you have this mind and that there are darker patterns within the mind is the very first step. And the next step is to acknowledge that it's there and that you are brave and vulnerable enough to inquire, to sit, to notice, and to be with it. When there is resistance to these lower frequency emotions and thought patterns, they get pushed down, and you may feel them as anxiety or sadness or another type of emotion. You may feel them physically in your body as a knot or a tension or a pain or a discomfort. They just get pushed down and they still are inside your system. So the way through is to acknowledge and to allow that which is in your field. Being brave and vulnerable, it takes faith and it takes courage to sit and allow those patterns to bubble up to the surface and be fully seen. When they are seen by you, and you meaning the truth of you, which is God, consciousness, light, those deeper, darker patterns, which are in the level of the mind, often based on fear, they are not the truth of you, and they do get dissolved by the full conscious awareness of spirit, of light, of you, the true you. So be careful not to be afraid of them and to resist them and to run away or to push them away, because that is when they become patterns that are hidden within your being. And they can send out frequencies into the universe, and sometimes you'll notice in your outer world, you'll notice, oh, there's a habit that keeps coming up, or there's a thought pattern that keeps showing, or I keep attracting in a certain relationship or person. The dark night of the soul, yes, it is uncomfortable, but you can get through it. And if you are aware of it, then you are ready to walk through it. It's like walking through a tunnel. At the beginning of the tunnel, you can still see the side that you've just come from, and there's a bit of light. And then you get braver and you go, okay, what is this? What is this that's inside of me that feels so uncomfortable, that I've been so scared of? Okay, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna just keep walking into this tunnel, meaning sitting with the emotion, observing that which is inside of you, observing it, and keep walking through the tunnel, and then it gets pitch black. You get to the darkest of the dark, and in this place, it can be so emotional. It can be so strong. You might notice that you have tears, that the voice in your head says some really horrible and harsh things to you. The thoughts can be really intense. Maybe you're even shaking. You might have goosebumps. You might have sweat. You might get hot. The body is so intelligent. It knows how to start to dissipate these darker, heavier, denser energies from the body, and it starts to release it out. Do not stop the process. Just observe. All you're being asked to do is observe everything that's happening and to keep being with it. And so it will get darker before you get to that point in the tunnel where you start to see the other end, and there's a little bit of light that comes in. And you keep walking slowly through it. And then something starts to shift, because the light of consciousness of God is what is dissolving that dark pattern, that dark energy that's been inside of you. So it's not like you have to work on it. You just have to give awareness to it. You have to be present with it and allow it. Any resistance causes a bit of a block, and that's okay if you're not fully ready for the fullness of how it's going to release. That's okay. That's okay. But then it will come back up. It will come back. And when it comes back, if it shows itself to you, know that you are ready. So you give it another go. And you walk through that tunnel and you hold presence. This is why we call it effortless effort, because it takes effort to go and sit with it. It's like you're meditating on it. You're sitting and you're observing, and it gets intense, and you allow the intensity and you're with it, and then it shifts, because the light of consciousness, the light of God dissolves it. And that shift is powerful. So something that was really physically sore and emotionally strong and mentally hard starts to dissolve, and then what you start to notice is your mind becomes a little softer. That which was intense in your body starts to move. You actually feel the movement in your body. It starts to release. The emotion gets lighter, and there you start to feel a sense of inner peace and love and a gentleness, a softening. What it is also like, it's like a brick wall that's been created. It's created a wall around you, protecting you, because the ego's made you believe that the outer world is not safe and you've got to protect yourself, and it's been in play for so long. And you notice this brick wall, and just by noticing it, the awareness starts to dissolve the brick wall, and the brick wall starts to have cracks. And it's a softening. You're going, okay, fear, okay, darkness, I'm holding space for you. You're my friend. You're a place of learning for me. I'm allowing, I'm watching. Let me learn from you. Let me hear what you've got to say. Let me just be with you. And that wall starts to crumble. And it's the softness, it's the love that crumbles and cracks it, and you have this breakthrough and the wall's no longer there. Now, what can also happen is that because there's layers to it, it might be a pattern that's built over years and years and years. So it's heavy, it's thick, it's really dark. You might go through the dark night of the soul a few times over the same concept, the same belief, based on the same fear. For example, you may have a fear of that when you go out and you're around a lot of people, you feel really anxious and it's so uncomfortable. So you start to feel the anxiety because you know in 2 days' time you're going to be around a lot of people. And so you sit with that fear, with that anxiety, and you feel it strong in your body, and you go through it, and you cry, and you feel, and you observe what the mind is, and it moves through you, and you breathe through it, and you just keep trusting. You keep trusting that you're being held by God, because God is you, and held by the angels. And you go deep into it, and it starts to dissolve, and you just observe, and it dissolves and dissolves, and then you're able to go out and be with people, and then maybe a week later that you notice a pang in your body of that same feeling, but it's less as tense as before. What this means is you've dissolved a strong layer. You might have dissolved a past life where it started, or something in childhood. You don't have to know exactly what it was. You don't have to know the root. You may be shown the root. You may have visuals and feelings and understandings. But in order to heal it, you just have to observe. That's all that's asked of you. You don't have to understand. But if you are being shown visuals, then that's what you meant. That's the way. The understanding is helping you to learn and move through it. So the way in which we move is we're moving in spirals and cycles. So that means that you are moving through it, and you get to another point, but that spiral is spiraled all the way back to that similar vibration, but this time you're further forward on the path. So the spirals moved you forward, but you've come back to that same vibration. So that is why you experience a similar vibration. You notice, there's that pattern again. I thought I worked through it. Why is it back? Do not worry, you did work through it. It's back, but it's back and it's different. So it might be this time you're working on it on a different level. It might be a different part, a different belief that's built on top of that core belief. We have so many beliefs that build from one belief. So we might have a core belief that from being born as a little baby, that whoa, this earth is very dense, it doesn't feel safe, I need to protect myself, there's people out there that can drain my energy. You see, there's many beliefs that come from a core belief of this place isn't safe. All fear comes from one deep, deep fear, and that is that the mind is fearful of no longer existing. It's fearful of the unknown, because in the unknown, which is no thing and no one and nobody, it's God. It's pure velvet blackness where you are home in the oneness. The ego, the mind does not exist there. So it's very, very fearful of that. And so the more and more you go on this path to dissolve old patterns and fears and beliefs, and in the beginning, you'll be dissolving fears and beliefs that are quite easy to dissolve. It's like just easy crumbling of the wall. Like a thought of, I like avocado on my toast. You know, it's not a core belief. It's easy to dissolve. And so you start dissolving the easier beliefs first, and then as you move closer and closer towards the beliefs that make your identity, which makes the ego, the mind, know itself, it's gonna hold on to those beliefs like closest as it can, which are the strongest ones. And so you're gonna find, as you go on this journey of releasing and letting go of these patterns, that the deepest and strongest ones are going to be the closest to the ego and the mind, and the hardest ones to release. Good that you got some big, strong, heavy, scary beliefs showing themselves to you, because it means you are deep within the journey of releasing. You are closer and closer to being less and less mind, more and more soul embodied. So don't be scared when they get bigger and stronger and heavier. Know that, oh wow, I'm getting to some of the biggest beliefs that the ego has been holding within inside of it. And I trust that the light of my consciousness is dissolving it, and I trust that all I need to do is sit and observe and be with it, and I will move through it, and it will fully dissolve. So keep going, because those big ones, they're strong, they're heavy, they're intense, but the breakthrough through them is so rewarding. But don't attach to the reward, because we're not looking to achieve anything. We're not looking to get to a place of bliss and happiness. That's another illusion of the mind. It's another belief. There is nothing we're trying to achieve. The sole purpose, the whole point of having this experience is just to experience it. It's the journey itself. There is no end goal. So even when you're in the dark night of the soul, there's no end goal. It's just observing. It's just being with it and knowing and trusting that a layer is showing itself because you're ready. And so you walk through that tunnel and it dissolves. And it's layered, and so you will go through repeat cycles of releasing one and the same root. All of it's coming from the ego, the mind, wanting to run the show and have its identity, and it's beautiful. It's part of the journey. It's not something you want to go, oh, ego, mind. No, it's more of like a beautiful thing to wonder and think about, like that we've got this mind that's creating this world, and so it is a lot freer and enjoyable when there's less world being created from fear. So it is worth doing this process, even though it is dark and sometimes can be very overwhelming and very emotional and very dark. You can get through it, because if you are hearing these words, then you are ready, and this is part of your journey. Be you, the light of consciousness, and walk through it. You can do it. And I just want to share with you right now that one of the experiences that I've had, which was when I was in a silent retreat, a Vipassana, 10 days of silence. On day 5, I was sitting there, and you're only with your mind. So you're really just observing your mind. So there's layers and so much that dissolves because you are focusing and just noticing what the mind patterns hold. On day 5, I was meditating with 80 other people in this hall, and my mind said, oh, Natalie, don't worry. If you don't get through this Vipassana, at the end of it, you can just go hang yourself, commit suicide in a hotel room. You've done it in a past life. That memory and that darkness made my whole body start to shake and cry. The teachers called me to the back, and they were singing to me and supporting me. And I moved through it, and after crying and I could speak again, I said to them, will I ever see that darkness and hear that dark voice ever again? And they said, once you've gone through it, it's dissolved, and you may experience a residue of it, but never like that again. And I haven't had that dark voice in that intensity ever again. And that stemmed from depression. I did that Vipassana because I was depressed and I wanted to get to the root of it. So yes, the darkness exists in the realm of the mind. You are not the mind. You are the light. You are the one that is aware and observing the mind. And the less and less awareness you place on the mind, because you are retracting awareness and coming back to presence and meditating in the here and the now, the less and less energy is fed to the mind. So that's one way of retracting from the mind. But then when you are retracting from it, it will speak up and let you know its fears. And that's part of the process. And that is what we've been talking about here today. So I send you so much love and light. And also know that you are supported by me. I know my one-on-one sessions are fully booked, but I do have a group session every 11th of the month. If you can't join the live, you join the replay. I'll add the link in the description so you can sign up. It's $11. It's on the 11th of every month, and it's powerful for doing this beautiful deep work to come back home to the light that you truly are. Namaste.